What's going on, boys? Thanks to our patrons and Fiverr customers, subscribe to our Patreon free for behind the scenes stuff, arm yourselves, typology stuff. We're talking about the physical side, or one of the physical sides of SI today. And because SI popularly gets discussed more for its mental features, that makes me wonder what the physical sides of NE and NI look like outside the I stuff. Because again, SE as a physical function, or the physical side of SE, is very clear, and you don't see people talk about the mental side of SE as much. But with SI types, there's almost never discussion of physicality. But that is a quad knot we will deal with another time. And when I say there are different physical aspects of SI, there is the perceiving level and the acting level. We'll be focusing more on the latter, but on the receiving side of things for now. It feels more like a cataloging of sensations, and it works similarly to the way it works on the memory level. When SI logs a memory, that memory tends to be important, but it's more like evidence in a case for what something is. So let's say inferiority is one of your life's core concerns. You will have a clear set of memories contributing toward your understanding of inferiority. Those memories will be crystal clear because they are building the case of something you are concerned about. And it operates similarly on the receiving senses level. However, instead of building a case toward a concept, you are deepening your understanding of a sensation. So, an easy way to identify SI in a person is by examining their eating habits. SI types won't eat the same thing for every meal for every day, but they will eat the same things often and often at the same times. A preferred food at a preferred time, and they might have a rotation of these things. But that's not just a favorite. You don't need to engage in something all the time for it to be a favorite, and some people will avoid their favorites so they don't overdo it. You don't see that as much in SI types. They'll do something they like a lot and they won't get tired of it, or at least it'll take a much longer time for them to get tired of it. And that's because for SI types, the more they do something they like, engage in something they like, the more they come to appreciate it, and the finer that sensation feels. For example, I exclusively smoke one sort of pipe tobacco, Prince Albert, and I smoke exclusively out of two pipes. I use that one tobacco exclusively, one, because it gets the job done, but two, because the flavor is comforting even when it's bad, but at the same time, it surprises you sometimes. You find things in that flavor you are unaccustomed to. You aren't doing anything new, you aren't doing anything differently. The exact same thing you are always doing sometimes reveals a different side of itself. And it's hard to explain, but that's a pleasant sensation. Knowing there is such a world within this one thing, this one method, it feels good. Yes, that's why you're doing it, but also it feels so much better when you are allowed access by the universe almost to these other levels. Those two pipes I use them because they get the job done efficiently, but also I like the differences between them. Maybe that contrast is the sensation that's being deepened. And this isn't happening on a thinking level, like you are considering and appreciating and pontificating on these sensations. It's all on a feels good level. You like that it does what it's supposed to do, in the way it's supposed to do it. It scratches that itch. It feels familiar, but not in a breeding contempt way, but in the way you would expect familiarity actually to work. You understand it more every time you do it. It always scratches that itch. You can always go there to get your itch scratched. And instead of that itching getting weaker or numbed, it only feels better every time. I think I'm having trouble explaining this because it's such a sense thing. And there's physiological trust in them. Most things don't scratch that itch, or they numb out, they don't scratch that itch all the time. So when you find things that always work for you, they feel really good. Another pipe tobacco example, Carter Hall, that's what I used to smoke. That one bugged me because sometimes it would get the job done, but other times it would taste like a dead animal. Prince Albert's lows are never that low, and the highs, which are more usual, are much higher. It feels like trying to reinvent the wheel. The wheel works, which we discussed the last time we discussed SI, except this is happening on a senses level, not on a problem solving level necessarily. But now we get into active SI physicality. SI acting on the physical world. Being an SE type doesn't automatically make you good at physical things, doesn't make you pick things up instantly. But I find SE types are at least quicker at picking things up. And even SE mastery is different. When an SE type has mastered something, they're really good at it. When they're engaging in it, they go into a fugue state. They're on the ball. They are masters of the universe, one with the universe. They don't become less present with mastery, they become more present. And that's very different from the way SI physicality works or SI mastery works. I'll go through an example of SI ascending to that higher level, and it's not mastery, but achieving this click moment familiar to SI. I had 2 additional dreams about getting shot a little while ago, and the dream was rather clear. You need to practice, because I haven't been for some time, because I'm trying to save money, because ammunition is expensive. But dreams have spoken. Back on the range, sad, scared, and solo. No Vietnam snipers, no maintenance guys who are secretly geniuses, no nothing. Just you, your handgun, and paranormal terror. And with my elite, I was a decent shot, which means nowhere near good enough. And with my new concealed carry, I haven't been carrying the elite everywhere. Not a good shot. I can hit center of mass at 10 yards. People tell you that's okay or that's better than nothing. I strongly disagree. And apparently my subconscious does too. So after trying and failing to improve with my concealed carry, I swapped over to the elite, both to make myself feel better and also because I was having a feeling. The gun in my dream was my concealed carry. Can't hit anything with it. The slide slipped out of my fingers, which doesn't happen in real life, but is a concern. It's loud. So let's see or feel how the elite does in comparison, but also there feels like another level of potential that's going untapped, that maybe this time I will tap. And in these difficulties, you can see the way SI works. I guarantee you, you hand an SE type my concealed carry, they'll figure out, if not how to use it, then what's wrong with it. But for me, I don't even know where to begin figuring out what I'm doing wrong. I do, however, have a frame of reference for the elite, which is one of the reasons I moved over, and what I did was I focused on what worked. Actually, it's another instance of building a case. Except instead of building a case toward a concept or toward pleasure, you are building a case toward how to do something perfectly. And you do that with sensation, not with cognition. Thinking about it, I wasn't really thinking about it. I was building an imprint, two imprints. One, why didn't that go where it was supposed to go? And then, why did that go where it was supposed to go? Deepening that contrast until you hit that click. And that memory of it clicking, even though, I mean, happened not that long ago, so it's not like it's going to be. It's not like it's outlandish to remember it not that long ago, like a week or two ago. But that memory will be in my head for a very long time. And not out of pride, but out of sensory diagramming. When you grip it this way and pull the trigger that way, you get the outcome you want. When you don't grip it this way and pull the trigger that way, you don't get the outcome you want. And that sounds like common sense, but this is happening on a neurological level. Like when you're lifting weights, it's not just about having the muscles to move the weight, it's about understanding the movement well enough on that neurological level to do it right. Even if you have the muscle, if your nervous system doesn't understand the movement or doesn't trust what's happening, then you won't be able to do it. And that's not something you can think about, that's something you develop by doing. And that's the way SI works, but on a weird level. For me, with the Elite, once it clicked, it's like I ceased needing to think about it. From this range or shorter, as long as I do it this way, I can hit anything I want, any way I want. And then it turned into a game like a hot streak. How many different things can I hit without missing something? And an SE type might do that, but when they do it, they're going to be locked in. Some Arthur Morgan, John Marston shit. But for me, with SI, when I hit this level, when it clicked, it was more like a Micah Bell situation. Auto aim. I'm marveling at the fact I'm doing this and I'm not really doing it. I'm doing this because I unlocked the correct neurological diagram. It doesn't even feel like developing a skill the way you train a muscle or something. It's more like it doesn't click and you're struggling with it, and then it does click and it's automatic. And at least in my life, that's the way SI works with most things, but this example stood out because the moment it clicked was so clear and fluid and organic. The second before, I was okay but not great. The second after, as long as something is within 20 yards and not moving, and I'm holding this gun in particular, and I'm not moving, holding it this way with this ammunition, I can hit it. Guaranteed. Now, of course, you swap any details out, and then you're learning a different skill, building a different diagram, but once you have that diagram, you have it. And of course, I got cocky and went back to my concealed carry and did just as shitty as I did before. And then I tried shooting the Elite one-handed, and I was in that okay but not great range, but that's another area I feel like I could do better. I also tried shooting, I don't know if it's double action. What is it when you, or once you've decocked? It doesn't feel like full double action because there's a little bit of slack in the trigger after you've decocked. I was trying to do that, and that was not going well. But this is the way SI works generally physically. You do something until it clicks, and then it becomes automatic. Changes after that are more refinements. And in my experience, it's not, when you're making these refinements, it's not zooming in, slowing down time like SE. It's more like adjusting knobs on a clock or something. It's detached. You are detached from what you're doing while you're doing it. Trying to make that diagram a little bit better. And between this video and other SI videos we've done, I'm beginning to think maybe SI shouldn't be conceptualized as a categorizing function, but more as a case building function. You aren't putting every little thing in every little individual box. You are putting like things with like things in their own briefcases to try to make the picture better. SI is it's particular in service of the general, all the way down to your nervous system. But we'll cut it here because I'm in the middle of having a surprise stroke about people and the way they are, which you think would have clicked by now, and it kind of has, but not perfectly. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you haven't.